Welcome. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And I'm so excited to share with you some really awesome resources that parents, oh, Teddy's there. Hey, Teddy. So parents can use as well as educators can use. And so I kind of crossed many different roles, and I thought it would be great to share some of these with all of you. Can everyone see the screen with the presentation? Perfect. So if you want it to be bigger, you can pin me so that way you can see the screen just a little bit bigger. I want to introduce my co-host, Brian Moe. He is my husband, and I roped him in last minute to help me with any technical glitches as well. So that's who that is. And really big welcome to everybody. So I'm going to get started and I'll share with you what we're going to talk about today. And at any time, if you have questions or something you're not sure about, please pop it into the chat. My amazing co-host is going to interrupt me if needed for me to answer anything, okay? Because this is meant to be more of an interactive session to share the resources. I'm not actually presenting the Confident Me workshop here. I'm just showing you kind of like a train the trainers type of format where I'm actually going to show you how do you use it, whether in the classroom or at home or both, depending on your role. And I know that I have a teacher candidate here as well from OAZ. And so, Haley, you can share this as well with your classmates, with your prof. I used to teach at OAZ as well. And I know that resources are always welcome, especially around important topics like body confidence and self-esteem. So I really appreciate everyone being here and, feel free to share the resources. So this is what we're going to be talking about today. So just a little agenda. We have around an hour today, and it's gonna fly by. And I talk a lot, so I'm gonna try to like streamline and not talk as much. So I'm gonna do a little introduction about who I am. I know many of you here already know me, but I'll just refresh your memory about what I do, who I am. And I'm gonna first share more about what are the important topics such as body confidence and self-esteem. Like, why are we even talking about this today? Why should we discuss this with our youth? And I know I am preaching to the choir here because you are joining me because you know that these are important topics, but I still want to share with you some important research around this. And the bulk of the presentation today is actually going to be me walking you through the two free resources from Plan International. One is for parents called the Confidence Kit, and the other one is for educators called the Confident Me presentation. But I would argue that both could be used for parents and educators alike, and you'll see why in a little bit. And then I'm going to share with you some next steps that you can take now that you have access to these resources. And I'm going to be emailing you three different files at the end of our presentation. And these are the three files I'm walking you through today. And then hopefully we'll have some time for connect and share. If you have any questions for me, if you have any thoughts you want to share with the group, I would really welcome that at the end and really throughout. So let me know. And if we do run out of time and you have questions you want to ask me, I will leave my contact information, which you should, I think you all have my email now because I sent you all an email. Then you can email me directly. Okay. All right. So a little bit about me. And I know this might be a repeat for some of you, but for some of you, this is brand new. So I have been kind of collecting degrees in businesses over the past 20 years. My background is in engineering, and then so I worked at GE Healthcare in sales and marketing. And then I decided to go back to school and I went to OAZ, got my teaching degree. So I taught for 7 years in high school, math and physics. And then I actually went back to OAZ a couple of years ago to teach in their Masters of Education program as well. But 10 years ago, I started a Mandarin school in Toronto called Panda Mandarin. And it's all because I became a mom. And, as those of us who are parents here, we know how life-changing that is. And then 7 years ago, I started a nonprofit called Girl Strong, which is on my shirt right here. And Girl Strong is dedicated to empowering young girls. And that's why I'm here today because Plan International, which is a global charity, they have selected Girl Strong as one of their community partners and to deliver their program called The Power Within. So Confident Me and the Confidence Kit are all part of the Power Within program, which is funded by, I should know this. I'm gonna go back to the slide that tells that tells me the funding partners, the Women and Gender Diversity Canada and the Dove Self-Esteem Project. So those are the funding partners for the Power Within. And why am I kind of uniquely qualified to share this information is I play multiple roles. So I am a parent of a 12-year-old daughter, and I am also a teacher that taught teens for 7 years and really saw a lot of the challenges and struggles that teens go through. And currently, I'm in a master's of counseling program where I am training to become a therapist, hopefully. So some of the people here are actually from my program as well, which I'm really grateful that you guys are here because we really need to help support our youth from multiple hats. Whether you're a parent, you're a teacher, you're a therapist, I think we all need to have the tools and resources to be able to support our teens and our youth. So that's a little bit about me and a little brag about different places that featured me, just to give myself some credibility. So to begin, let's do a little quiz. What do you think is body confidence? Can you put it in the chat which answer you think defines body confidence? And no, never any judgment, even if you get it wrong. What do you think body confidence is? So just wait for a moment for you to respond. So, like I said, there are no wrong answers because I think all the answers have elements of body confidence. But according to Plan and my resource kit, the correct answer is D. So it's feeling comfortable about your body for how it looks and what it can do. And so this little survey is actually at the beginning of the Confident Me presentation. I just took it and I thought I use that as the introduction. So most people did get D, and a couple of you, Jillian, and Meg, Jillian thought it was C. Yeah, I mean, there are no wrong answers, like I said. It's all really much related. And yeah, and it's be happy in your skin as well, for sure. So, what do you think self-esteem is? Um, Pop it in the chat what you think self-esteem is. And I'm also going to share the answer with you. Like, what do you think it means to have self-esteem? Now everyone's nervous. I don't know what the answer is. It's okay. So just anything that comes up. Um, yeah, love it. Thank you for feeling good about yourself. Yeah, definitely. Having confidence in your abilities, being confident in yourself. Definitely confidence is a big one. Ooh, self-love, definitely. Believe in yourself. Like, man, you guys know definitely all all the key answers. And Amisha, what we value in ourselves. Yeah, absolutely. So let's see what the what Plan International shares. So, self esteem is defined as our overall judgment of our self worth. And many of you have already touched on some of the key things about what it means to have self esteem, self worth, feeling good how we value ourselves. And there are some key things that actually influence what our self-worth or how high our self-esteems are. And these are four main things. So one is, what are those internal dialogues that we have about ourselves? And I don't know, parents in the room, if you have heard this, that what you say to your kids actually become their internal dialogues in the future. And, no pressure, right, to the parents. Um, and then also feedback from other people influence our own self-worth, our accomplishments and goals, because our society conditions us to think that if we have high accomplishments or we meet all the societal goals, then we are worth it. Somehow we're not enough just by being who we are, but we need to have extra letters after our names. Sometimes I think, why am I in a master's program right now? I already have two different degrees. Maybe it's a self-worth issue that I'm dealing with, right? Hard to say. And then the last one, this is a huge one, and social media definitely compounds the effect, which is our comparison with other people. And we forget that social media is curated content from people's highlights, and we think that's how their lives are. And then it's nothing compared to what we have. And so when we are looking at youth who don't really have their prefrontal cortex all, developed and critical thinking abilities well developed, when they look at their peers' social media feeds, it is really hard for them to understand that, oh, that's just a moment in time and their life is not like that. And, let alone about filters. So I'll get into that in a bit too. And just a little bit of research to round out this topic. And I had to learn a lot about APAs. So you're going to see some APA referencing here. Um, so here's one. Maggie is my lifeline in my course, so she will tell you that these are the right formats. So one is adults are really important body confidence role models. So what we feel ourselves, whether consciously, subconsciously, they influence what our kids will think about themselves. And our own view of body confidence, self-esteem is really going to impact them through many things. It's not just all what we say, it's our actions, it's a lot of nuances that will impact them. And teachers as well, because teachers, parents really have the most amount of touch points with youth. Therapists are important because I know there's some of my therapist friends here. You're all important too, but you don't have as many touch points with the youth as parents and educators do. So next one. This one was really shocking to me when I found out. This is from the American Psychological Association, where on days girls don't feel good about their bodies, 15% of them stay home. 13% won't give an opinion from the survey. 5% will not go to a job interview, and 3% will not go to work. And this is when they're not feeling good about their bodies. So this was a survey done in just last year. And then the last one, this was published by the National Organization for Women, and it said 53% of American girls are unhappy with their bodies. And this grows to 78% by the time girls reach 17. So these are important statistics to note, um, because they do show why this topic is important. And further, these are some statistics shared by Plan International, where 80% of girls say that they compare. They compare themselves to the way people look on social media. And I know some of you will say, I'm not surprised. As adults, we compare ourselves to how people look on social media. Um, I recently shared a video about me talking about how I started thinking about doing some injections or something to my face. I've never injected anything or peeled anything on my face, But looking at all those people on social media talking about these no cosmetic procedures, it's starting to make me feel like, oh, maybe I need that. Like everyone's doing it. And if I don't do it, I'm going to just age faster than everybody. So even though someone like me who have had lots of training in this area can feel that way and influenced by what I see on social media, that I would overcome my fear of needles and fear of pain and consider doing some cosmetic procedure. I haven't done it yet, but I considered it. I really thought about it. I talked to my husband. I was like, I think maybe I need it. Are you gonna love me if I age faster than everybody else? Um, it's really it's funny, but it's also not funny. The next one, 34% of teenagers spend at least 3 hours a day scrolling on their feeds. I don't think that would be surprising. It's probably even more than 3 hours. 25% of girls think that they don't look good enough without photo editing. Put in the put the word filter in the chat if you know filters or you know about filters. Like, can you put filters? I'm just curious because I have a fairly technical background. You know, I did have a degree in engineering, but that does not make me technically savvy because I didn't really know how to use filters. I didn't know like how to do it, but I learned it for this in preparation for this workshop. So, oh, Jillian learned about it from my post. Yeah. So, Jillian, I actually learned about filters because of that post. I wanted to talk about, I was like, how do filters work? Like, how do they, really impact? It's quite insidious, is what I'm saying. So, I'm going to share. Um, yeah, Haley, thank you for sharing that so vulnerably. I know, right? It's because if everyone is using filters and they're looking a certain way, with perfect skin, with like perfect whatever, then it makes it seem so hard if we post a picture where we look less than perfect. And that's also why I'm like thinking, do I need to like permanently filter this face, like with some maybe injectables? I'm like, oh, I'm scared of acupuncture and I'm like, oh, I need to inject needles in my face and it seems scary, but pressures, right? Like there's pressure. Um, okay, so let's talk about the free resources. And then I'm going to show you my video on filters that Jillian talked about. So I'm going to walk you through the two resources that you can use. So the first one I'm going to talk about is the confidence kit. This is technically created for parents and caregivers, but I would say that for educators in the room here, it is an important resource for you to look through before you teach Confident Me, because a lot of the content in the Confidence Kit is meant for adults to gain self-awareness and confidence in your own bodies, because you can't really teach youth about them having confidence and high self-esteem if you don't have that yourself. So that's why I would say both resources are important for parents and for educators and therapists too. So and so these are so there are three files. Two of the files are for Confident Me, and one of the file is the confidence kit, which I'll share after the workshop. So here is the content for the confidence kit. And so it's fairly extensive. I think there are like 35 pages in this PDF. So it's quite extensive, but it's very, very comprehensive, in my opinion, to really help adults gain a much better awareness of where we have gaps in our own self-confidence, in our body, and our self-esteem. So it starts with the introduction of why it's important, which I already shared some pieces with you. And to help you appreciate your own body so that you can help your child, I'm going to share with you one of the units. I'm not going to go through the whole thing because it's great for you to kind of go through yourself and to digest. But I will share with you one of the lessons just to kind of show you how it's structured. But the next topic is about social media filters and having the selfie talk, really kind of helping your child understand what is involved in this online world, what's real, what's not real. And so that's actually the lesson I'm going to show you, and also where I'm going to show you my filter video that I did in preparation for this workshop and for the 6-week workshop, which I'll talk about later. And then the next one is it's all about bullying. How do you beat bullying? And how do you deal with anything about teasing of their appearances? So one example, that I want to share is I used to always have my hair parted this way. I would never have my hair parted the other way because I have this mole on my face and it has hair growing out of it. And I was made fun of a lot. And so I would always hide the right side of my face and show only my left side. But ever since I kind of started embracing my natural kind of wild wavy hair, it just always wants to part to the left. And I think it's meant to be that I'm just now showing, my mole. And I remember trying out some filters, and there was a filter that added a mole to your face at the exact spot that I have a mole already. And so I thought, oh my gosh, like this, I've been trying to hide this mole for so long. I even tried to laser this off and it grew back bigger. And I just thought, how stupid am I? Like trying to hide this. And there's a special filter build with a mole at the exact same spot. No hair on it though, but still. I thought that was just like the funniest thing and sad. Okay, so the next one is about improving communication between you and your child. And I actually took an excerpt from this because it was really interesting how they reframed some of the things we tend to say to our kids and, what our kids hear us say and what we actually mean to say. So I thought that was really interesting. And then the next one is about body functionality. So this is really focused on like our deep-rooted feelings about our body and the different functions our body has and how we kind of tend to act automatically or jump to conclusions about our bodies. And then the last part is really kind of putting everything together and talking about celebrating in the individuality that we bring. And this is kind of where you actually really bring in the child to the discussion. Whereas like in the previous chapters, there's a lot for the adult, not so much for the kid, for the youth, but it really kind of brings everything together at the end. So the lesson that I want to kind of share with you in the confidence kit is the selfie talk. So every unit there are 7 units. Every unit, it starts off like this with a checklist, and it kind of encourages you to look through and really see where your understanding of this topic is and allow you to kind of check in with yourself first before engaging your child or student in this discussion. So this one is really talking about taking selfies, using filters, the comparison trap, which we just talked about before, and, really understanding a little bit more about some of the realities of this online world that our student and children are a part of. And so that's where I was like, okay, let me learn a bit about filters. So I'm going to stop sharing this for now, and then I'm going to share the video that I mentioned about filters. Okay, so I am going to do this. And so when I did this video, um, it was really for me to get a better understanding of the impact of filters and for for me to know like truly what our youth might be dealing with and seeing. And it was really inspired by this psychologist in England, where she did a video on just flipping on and off different filters where you can see her face, fresh and then filtered and then her face and then and that jarring experience was incredible. And then she said after, learning more about filters, she actually started to wear more and more makeup because she just naturally wanted to look more and more like what she could look like with the filters. And she, shared about how if she could do that and she's, in her 40s, a PhD in psychology, what are the chances that our youth could survive that and not be pressured the same way? So can you see my face in that video right now? Okay. And I hope I shared the sound, but it doesn't matter. You'll see what I mean. Okay. All right.
I'm going to talk about filters.
Can you hear?
So right now I'm not using any filters and I'm not wearing makeup, completely barefaced. I'm
So
about
I
to
am wearing
launch a
makeup right now,
6-week program
just for you
as a
guys. I was like, I'll
partnership
put
with
some makeup
Plan
on.
International called The Power Within, which is a workshop for youth 10 to 18 years old around body confidence and self-esteem. And I thought, as a woman of 44 years young, sometimes I feel pressured to only make videos when I have some makeup on, looking decent, my hair is done. There's a lot of pressure to look a certain way. And when you add on filters, it really completely distorts our own versions of reality. So I'm just going to show you what that looks like. And it really blew my mind. So now this is what my face looks like with the Filter Light Foundation. Like, holy crap! Oh my gosh. Like, where did these contours come from?
I just want to pause this to share with you. I didn't even notice this when I was making it, but it added fillers to my lips. Like my lips don't look like that. And it actually made my face thinner. Like it literally carved my face down. And when you look at my eyes, I wasn't wearing any makeup at the time, but it made my eyes bigger. So like it just completely changed. It didn't just make my skin smoother, and it made my skin whiter too. So I'll keep playing. You can see it when I switch back, but like I didn't notice all the structural changes it made. And so people actually use their filtered images and they take it to cosmetic surgeons and say, that's what I want to look like. And they want to reconstruct their faces so that they look like what their filtered versions look like. But I can see that. I'm like, oh, damn, I look good. Like, you know, there.
So crazy. And so if I were to stare in my face like this all the time, and then I go back to this, I just think no amount of psychology training is going to prepare my little brain to reconcile the fact that I am still beautiful just the way I am without filters. And let alone the brains of a 10-year-old, a 12-year-old, even an 18-year-old. And I think that's a really hard thing for our youth today to really be okay with themselves, to really be okay with the way they look. Body dysmorphia is real.
So yeah, so any thoughts about that? Like, who wants to try some filters tonight? Right? And like I actually did this live with my daughter. I was like, "Hey, I just want to show you this." And we used to play with filters for fun, the ones that like add like bunny ears or, funny cartoons, whatever. But this is like really dangerous kind of filters where they actually make you look better than the natural version of yourself. I mean, better according to societal, you know, criteria or conditioning. Um, that's what's really dangerous, I think. So yeah, um, let me know if you have any thoughts about that you want to share as well. So here I'm going to continue with this part of the confidence kit. So this is kind of like a really neat activity. It's called What the dot dot dot. Um, so it's about what we mean and the nagging things that we say to our kids. So there's one here that I really liked, where it said, uh, "You're on your phone again. You're always on your phone, texting friends. You're texting friends you've only just seen." Who's experienced that? Put in the chat, like, yes, just tell me. Like who has ever said that to their kids before? Like seriously, I don't know why, but like my daughter feels this need to message her friends right after she gets home from school. Like they literally just spend a whole day together and she's not talking to me about anything and I want to talk to her. Yeah, like all the time, right? Yeah, thank you, Lena and Sonia, half an hour ago. Yeah, exactly. I just said this to her today. So this happens all the time. And then so according to her, my our kids, what they're hearing is I don't think you are they don't think that we value their friendships. And but what we really mean is probably like, I miss you. I want to know about your day. Like, tell me more about your day. But what we actually say is pushing them further away. So if we can be more vulnerable and just say, hey, I miss you. What was your day like? You know, could you make some time for your family? Um, that would get over to the other side a little bit easier than us nagging them to say, hey, put your phone away, stop messaging your friends. Um, so there's some really interesting turnarounds in the confidence kit around communication that I really appreciated. And I'm sure even teachers experience that too. Back in the day when we could tell kids to put their phones away, and then we went through a period where we couldn't tell our kids to put their phones away. Now we're back again to be able to tell them to put their phones away. Like there's just always all these changes, but we think that our students are not interested, but really it's maybe they need a distraction or maybe they're bored or, there's so many different reasons, but we actually care about their education and we want them to pay attention, but we come across as nagging or dismissive. So kind of reframing that communication piece is really key. All right. Any questions about the confidence kit so far? So, like I said earlier, in case you're just joining, the Confidence Kit is created for adults and it's meant for you to first kind of learn this information about yourself first before you go and teach your kids. I also think the Confidence Kit is great for educators and therapists to really dig deeper into your own relationship with body confidence and self-esteem. So, if you're an educator, the confident me is the resource that you can use in the classroom. And you can present the whole workshop in about 55 minutes. If it's a class that you didn't teach and you need to do an icebreaker, you kind of just tack on another 10 minutes, but really it should be able to finish in 55 minutes. So for a secondary class, um, the classes are 75 minutes, so this is perfect. For an elementary class, you might have to fit it in or double up with some lessons to make that work. And you can really present this yourself, even though they did recommend to have 3 staff members, but that's really mainly around being able to field questions if you want to split up the group. And it's meant for, all group sizes, but ideally minimum 5 students, upwards of 30 students, but with classroom caps, who knows, like 33, 34, we don't know. But this presentation can also be used for parents. So if you have like an hour or so to just have some really deep discussions with your kids, like focused time, this could definitely be used at home as well. So for this workshop, there are 4 components. So there's an introduction, and this is really where you're talking about like image manipulation and what are some of those societal appearance ideals. And what does that mean? And how is that seen in marketing and in advertising? The second part of this workshop is around manipulation. So, this whole thing about filters is talked about here as well. And there are really obvious pictures that can show you, which I'm going to show you in a little bit. And then the third component is about how should we or how could we as youth respond to these appearance pressures from our peers, from society, from all the different avenues that we are, exposed to. And then the last one, the last part is really to encourage the students and the kids to become a champion for change now that they are equipped with this knowledge to share with their peers and to let other people know about, what it means to have appearance ideals, what it means to have these pressures that they're dealing with. So, what I love about this resource is how it's divided up. So any teachers in the room appreciate a good, lesson plan. And this is created by teachers for teachers. And again, parents can use this too. So the guide is really easy to use and it's color coded. So what teachers and parents say is in blue and it says the icons say, and what we need to do or what the students need to do is in the blue, bright blue do. And then there are also tips in purple and more what the students might say or what kind of anticipated response there could be in blue. So they really thought of everything. And if you just follow it like page by page, you know exactly what to do. So there is the educator's guide, which looks like this, what you see on the screen right now, that is kind of divided and broken up with all these prompts and cues. And then I'm going to send you the student version, which doesn't have any of this notes and teacher notes and lesson plan notes. And it's just the PowerPoint presentation. So that's sort of the difference. And just to kind of show you how to use one lesson. So this is the lesson on appearance ideals. And at the top, it will tell you how much time you should allocate for this lesson. And depending on the age group that you teach, this is meant for ages 10 to 18. So depending on the age group that you teach or your child, you need to budget less or more time. If they're younger, don't spend 20 minutes on appearance ideals. Not going to get that attention span. But if they're older, then you can kind of expand and have more discussions. So you can see that it shows you what the presentation looks like a little visual, and then what are the prompts for educators and parents. And also, there's space for you to write any variation notes that you might want to change for when you deliver. And this is the second part of that. So you can see the visual. This is created by Dove. You can see how filters really make a huge difference in their face. And it gives you a lot of ideas about what you can say and follow-up questions that you can ask the students or ask your child. So it's really well thought out. And this is actually the same format that the 6-week workshop delivers on as well. So some of you may already know this, but Girl Strong is also delivering the free 6-week workshop called The Power Within and on the same topic. So what you see here is just expanded across 6 weeks with more topics and more engagement. And the educator handout looks exactly like this. And I find it really, really easy to use and like super awesome. So, okay. Yeah, somebody just asked me a question in the chat. How do you get access to these resources? I'm going to email it to you. So all of this is going to be emailed to you, and I'm going to send you 3 documents, as I said, the educator's notes, which is like these that you see here, the student presentation, and I'm going to send you the confident kit as well. So you'll get all that, so you don't have to worry. And here are some possible next steps. So, step one is to consider sharing the resources that I'll be emailing you with your child, your children, and the students. So, although this resource is created, with girls in mind, a lot of the statistics are really about girls. You can share this with boys too. I think everybody can use this knowledge. It's just the content is a bit more geared towards girls, and the student handouts kind of like there's some more pink splattered around um, there. So yeah, so consider sharing this. Um, Two is you can invite me to your school or organization. I can do a free 1 hour talk on Confident Me. If you want me to do it, I'd be happy to do that. So you can email me, Yollanda@wearegirlstrong.com. And then the third way is there are many different options for you to get involved with the Power Within program. You can actually be a presenter for them as well, like what I'm doing right now. So you can email Power Within at Plan Canada, and you can let them know that you've done the Train the Trainer workshop and you're interested in delivering the workshop. So you can do that as well. So just different ways to get involved. And another option, and this is something that, it's open to, and many of you here actually already registered your girls in the Power Within 6 week program. So thank you so much for doing that. Like many of you here have. We still have room in the teen program for 15 to 18-year-olds. So, funny story, within 48 hours of sending out the email to the Girl Strong email list, posting on social media, the 10 to 14 age group filled up. And then we had like 8 girls on the waiting list. So, we're launching another session in January because of the, overwhelming response. But even to this day, so Sonia is here. I think she was here. Sonia and I are actually the co-facilitators for the teen program. And we've been pulling out all the stops to recruit teens into the 15 to 18-year-old group for the same program, different content, same program. And we're just having the hardest time because I think parents of teens don't have as much control over what they do anymore, and it's harder to influence. But if you know of any teens who are 15 to 18-year-old, I'm going to do a call out to ask that you please share the program with them. And it's also for teens that identify as people of visible minority or newcomers to Canada. That's where the funding is for. So it's in person, and it's located in Toronto. And it's going to start this Sunday. So both programs, the little girls program and the teen program, they both are going to start this Sunday. So, so that's that. And any questions from the group for me? Let me stop sharing so